Hello, everybody. Here's the next couple of chapters of A Tale of Desperaux. This is for Mr. Mcguan's classroom. I know I haven't got you caught up yet. We're working on it. So, chapter 14, Darkness. Desperaux lay on his back at the bottom of the steps and touched the bones in his body one by one. They were all there, and amazingly, they were unbroken. He got to his feet and became aware of a terrible, foul, extremely insulting smell. The dungeon, reader, stank. It stank of despair and suffering and hopelessness, which is to say that the dungeon smelled of rats. And it was so dark. Desperaux had never before encountered darkness so awful, so all-encompassing. The darkness had a physical presence, as if it were a being all its own. The mouse held one small paw up in front of his whiskers. He could not see it, and he had the truly alarming thought that perhaps he, Desperaux Tilling, did not even exist. "Oh my," he said out loud. His voice echoed in the smelly darkness. "Perfidy," said Desperaux, just to hear his voice again, just to assure himself he did exist. "P," said Desperaux, and the name of his beloved was immediately swallowed by the darkness. He shivered, he shook, he sneezed, and his teeth chattered. He longed for his handkerchief. He grabbed hold of his tail. It took him a long, frightening moment to even locate his tail, so absolute was the darkness. To have something, anything, to hold on to. He considered fainting. He deemed it the only reasonable response to the situation in which he found himself. But then he remembered the words of the Threadmaster. Honor, courtesy, devotion, and bravery. "I will be brave," thought Desperaux. "I'll try to be brave like a knight in shining armor, and will be brave for the Princess P." How best for him to be brave? He cleared his throat. He let go of his tail. He stood up straighter. "Once upon a time," he said out loud to the darkness. He said these words because they were the best, the most powerful words that he knew, and just the saying them comforted him. "Once upon a time," he said again, feeling the tiniest bit braver, "there was a knight, and he wore, always, armor of shining silver." "Once upon a time," boomed a voice from the darkness. "A knight in shining armor? What does a mouse know of such things?" That voice, the loudest voice that Desperaux had ever heard, could only, he assumed, belong to the world's largest rat. Despero's small, overworked heart stopped beating, and for the second time that day, the mouse fainted. Chapter 15, The Light. When Desperaux awoke, he was cupped in a large, calloused hand of a human, and he was staring into the fire of one match, and beyond the match there was a large, dark eye looking directly at him. "A mouse with red thread," boomed the voice. "Oh, yes, Gregory knows the way of mice and rats. Gregory knows. And Gregory has his own thread marking him. See here, mouse?" And the match that was held to a candle, and the candle sputtered to life, and Desperaux saw that there was a rope tied around the man's ankle. "Here is the difference between us. Gregory's rope saves him, and your thread will be the death of you." The man blew the candle out, the darkness descended, and the man's hand closed more tightly around Desperaux, and Desperaux felt his beleaguered heart start up a crazy rhythm of fear. "Who are you?" he whispered. "The answer to that question, mouse, is Gregory. You are talking to Gregory the jailer, who has been buried here, keeping watch over this dungeon for decades, for centuries, for eons, for eternities. You are talking to Gregory the jailer, who, in the richest of ironies, is nothing but a prisoner here himself." "Oh," said Desperaux, may I get down, Gregory?" "The mouse wants to know if Gregory the jailer will let him go." "Listen to Gregory, mouse. You do not want to be let go. Here in this dungeon you are in the most treacherous, dark heart of the world, and if Gregory was to release you, the twistings and turnings and dead ends and false doorways of this place would swallow you for all eternity. Only Gregory and the rats can find their way through this maze. The rats because they know, because the way of it mirrors their own dark hearts. And Gregory because the rope is forever tied to his ankle, to guide him back to the beginning. Gregory would let you go, but you would only beg him to take you up again. The rats are coming for you, you see. They are? Listen, said Gregory, you can hear their tails dragging through the muck and filth. You can hear them filing their nails and teeth. They are coming for you. They are coming to take you apart, piece by piece. Desperaux listened, and he was quite certain that he heard the nails and teeth of the rats and the sound of sharp things being made sharper still. They will strip all the fur from your flesh and all the flesh from your bones. When they are done with you, there will be nothing left except red thread and bones. Gregory has seen it many times, the tragic end of a mouse. But I need to live, said Desperaux. I can't die. You cannot die. Ah, that is lovely. He says he cannot die. Gregory closed his hand more tightly around Desperaux. And why would that be, Mouse? Why is it that you cannot die? Because I'm in love. I love somebody. It's my duty to serve her. Love, said Gregory. Love. Hark you, I will show you the twisted results of love. Another match was struck. The candle was lit again, and Gregory held it up so that its flame illuminated a massive, towering, teetering pile of spoons, kettles, and soup bowls. Look on that, Mouse, said Gregory. That is a monument to the foolishness of love. What is it? Said Desperaux. He stared at the great tower that reached up into the darkness. What it looks like, spoons, bowls, kettles, all of them gathered here is hard evidence of the pain of loving a living thing. The king loved the queen, and the queen died. This monstrosity, this junk heap, is the result of love. I don't understand, said Desperaux, and you will not understand until you lose what you love. But enough about love, said Gregory. He blew out the candle. We'll talk instead about your life, and how Gregory will save it if you so desire. Why would you save me? Desperaux asked. Have you saved any other mice? Never, said Gregory, not one. Why would you save me then? Because you, Mouse, can tell Gregory a story. Stories are light. Light is precious in a world so dark. Begin at the beginning. Tell Gregory a story. Make some light. And because Desperaux wanted very much to live, he said, Once upon a time. Yes, said Gregory happily. He raised his hand higher and then higher still until Desperaux's whiskers brushed against his leathery, time-worn ear. Go on, Mouse, said Gregory. Tell Gregory a story. And it was in this way that Desperaux became the only mouse sent to the dungeon whom the rats did not reduce to a pile of bones and a piece of red thread. And it was in this way that Desperaux was saved. Reader, if you don't mind, that is where we will leave our small mouse for now, in the dark of the dungeon, in the hand of an old jailer, telling a story to save himself. It is time for us to turn our attention elsewhere. Time for us, reader, to speak of rats, and one rat in particular. End of Book 1. And here's our picture of Gregory and Desperaux whispering in his ear. How cool is that? And that is the end of our first book. The next book is book the second, chiaroscuro, and chiaroscuro means the juxtaposition of light and dark. And our next video will be the beginning of that chapter, and you're pretty close to being caught up now with the rest of the 5th grade. Thank you so very much for your attention. I do miss you guys. I do miss being at school and having that getting up and going and getting stuff done during the day. So I hope you all are keeping well, washing your hands, and hopefully we will see you soon.